Improvisation. Those two things are linked because they both require risk. They require us to be playful and think in entirely different ways. And by the way, they both require change. I want to talk about this improv cycle of change. The way it starts is prepare like an improviser, play in the moment, think upside down, change, improvise, and innovate. So improv is the art form where about 5 or 6 actors come on stage, and we do not have a script, okay? We don't have costumes, props, we don't have any of the normal tools of theater. No makeup, nothing. We walk out, we literally don't know what's going to happen next. We've got about an hour and a half to fill, and somebody says go. It's awesome. It's like the best theater I ever did because it is entirely in the moment, and we have to completely trust and work with each other in a way that is so much different than any other kind of theater or work that I've ever done. It can't be matched. So the main principle that allows us to do this is yes and. You and I are going to improvise together, okay. All right? And we're going to kind of follow the cycle of we're going to prepare, we'll get some information to prepare. Okay. We'll play with each other, we'll improvise. Sure. Okay, then we're going to think about how we can make it kookier, and then we'll change it. Stewie sounds great, although it sounds a little food related. but I like Stewie. Oh, you're such a good roommate.
Yes.
Yeah. And as we think about our lives, our work in professional development, and we are asking people to change. We're asking them to get better. We're asking to develop them in every way. The importance for us to be a role model has never been more important. And when I talk about role models, I'm not saying that people will change because, you know, they've never run, they want to run, so they see an Olympic athlete. That doesn't actually work. For me, it's when this actually happened. A woman on my block took up running and she ran a 5K. And I thought, well, wait a second, she's my neighbor, and she can do that. Maybe I can do that too. So as we are asking the people in our organizations to change and to get better and to try stuff, we have to be the first line of role modeling for any kind of change. Yes? Yes. Got it? Awesome. Okay, so that's the first thing I want us to get into our heads, that change is possible. Because here's the thing, everybody, every organization, every team wants innovation. We all want new products, new processes, new stuff, right? We know we need it to survive, but guess what? Nobody likes to change. Who here has ever gotten a new cell phone? Okay, how's that first day? I heard one person say love it. You've got to be the first. Right, so you're excited because it's really cool and you've been waiting for it and you got it, but the stuff isn't on the same place and it's kind of annoying and you invariably drop it. You know, it doesn't fit into the purse place where it used to, at least for us, or the pocket place. So there is this discomfort. And improv is all about living in the discomfort and getting comfortable with it. So that's also where change is most effective. If we can help people get through that discomfort to the point where the cool phone really works, then we're cooking with gas. So improvisers are actually the most over-rehearsed people in the performance industry. The example I like to give is that I had the lead here in Chicago in a huge theater in a Shakespeare play. At the same time, I was doing a late-night improv show, which was only about 45 minutes. I rehearsed twice as many hours for the improv show than I did for the Shakespeare play lead. We rehearse and practice for everything because we never know what's going to happen. We are ready for anything. And I also deeply believe that practice, rehearsal, being ready is one of the biggest things missing in corporate America today. Whether you are preparing to sit down one-on-one with your boss, or stand up in front of a group of 100, or whatever you are trying to do, practice and true preparation, and by the way, pushing yourself in practice, you know, the kind of practice that makes you a little uncomfortable and sweat and makes you make mistakes, that's what makes you better, right? And we constantly have to do this. So think upside down is a really cool concept in improv. We also call it the third idea. And it comes from the fact that we have to surprise the audience. Okay, so one night I remember being at a show and the audience yelled out, "potato chips." Now, the last thing a good improviser would do is grab a bag, sit down, and start going like this because you expected that, right? You expected that to happen. That's what you thought was going to come. The idea is to go beyond that, surprise them, do something unexpected. So what would happen if instead I started doing this? What am I doing? Chopping down a tree. What's flying all around me? Wood chips. The point is we had to think entirely differently. We had to turn your expectations on their head. And if you look at classic disruptions and stories of some of the greatest sort of products that came into being, it happens in a moment where somebody literally thought the opposite of what everyone else was doing. When we sort of turned it upside down on its head, or we tried something utterly different. One of the most effective ways to do this, by the way, is invite people who know nothing about what you're doing. And experts hate this practice because, we know what we're doing, we want to be the experts in the field. But if you invite people who have no idea what's going on, they have no boundaries and no assumptions about what can and cannot happen. So one of the best ways to think upside down is have people play with you who don't know what they're doing. When I say the words, hands up, I would like you to stand up. Now, when I say the words stand up, I would like you to sit down. When I say the word sit down, I want you to put your hand up. Hands up. Stand up. Sit down. Sit down. Hands up. Stand up. Sit down. Stand up. Hands up. We're going to go on to change, because this is the biggest bugaboo. It's the one that people hate the most and have the hardest time with. So change is everywhere. People have different levels of comfort with it. But the biggest issue that occurs, of course, is what happens to your brain when you're going through times of change. Doctors Rock and Schwartz have done great research around the neuroscience of leadership and change, okay? And what they found is that during times of change, your brain is not registering things properly, right? Okay? So basically, when something is not the way that it's supposed to be, your brain sends an error message saying, this is wrong, this isn't the way it's supposed to be, and it kicks in a little cortisol straight from the amygdala, which does what? It shuts down your prefrontal cortex, where you have all the control, where you have all the ability to be smart, the stuff we love. So who here has ever been through like a merger? Who here has ever changed their home or moved? Okay, you were undergoing long-term, low-level stress, which was then giving your brain constant hits of cortisol that were not allowing you to actually think properly. Again, the answer is improvisational techniques. So before every show and during shows, we had to breathe, observe, and ask questions. Send it to her, show her she can do it. Yes!